It is approximately 1:10 p.m. We had some technical difficulties and that delayed us. This meeting is a special meeting that's called within our charter, within the 12-hour time frame. It's my understanding that the commissioners waived their opportunity to have it delivered at their home. It was advertised in the on the event section of our website. It was advertised on the marquee, and it was on the doors. I would like, before we get started and go into our roll call, well, Melody, if you'll go ahead and just do a roll call for everybody present.
Commissioner DeVito?
Present.
Commissioner Lori?
Present.
Commissioner Moore?
Present.
Commissioner Burton?
Here.
Mayor Myers?
Here. I'm here. Don Holmes.
We have City Attorney Donald Holmes
Here.
Okay.
and Dwayne Flowers.
No, we're fine. We're good with that. And probably would like, if I could, commissioners, if someone would offer a motion to the special meeting, hold the special meeting, just to make sure that we've covered all of our bases. Don't have to, but I just, yes.
Before we begin, I'm glad that Mr. Holmes is here. I would like to ask Mr. Holmes if, under the circumstances, I don't know why the meeting's called, I don't know what we're supposed to decide, and I'm very concerned about with his giving us his opinion on the adequacy of public notice, because I didn't see anything on the city website, and I did not receive any kind of alert. I just realized that this morning. So if Mr. Holmes could please speak to us about that? Don, can you hear me?
Yes, I'll admit that you are breaking up a little bit, but I think I heard you. I heard the content of what you said substantially in order to be giving a response. As you may or may not know, there is no absolute guideline or prescription in Florida statutes as to what adequate notice consists of. Particularly with regard to a special meeting, which is my understanding this is, the notice is simply indicated as being reasonable under the circumstances, or that's what's required. I'll confess, I did not look at your charter, but I'm advised that your charter specifies that at least 12 hours is adequate notice. With a special meeting, there's often not time to put it in the newspaper, especially not on a 12-hour notice. So then the question is basically what steps were taken, and under the circumstances, are they reasonable to afford notice that a meeting is being held? My understanding is that it was posted on your website. I understand there's some issue about where it was posted on the website. From my perspective, I'm not so concerned about the category under which it was placed as I am that it was in some fashion prominent in the website. And then from there, it's being, it would be expected at least that it be posted wherever you post other notices of your meetings, i.e. if your marquee out front is where you advertise your meetings, if you post it on the door or there's a bulletin board on the front of the building or whatever the case might be in City Hall, wherever you normally post your meeting and notices, if it was posted there as well, then that would be, under the circumstances and based upon my understanding of the purpose of the meeting, then I believe that would be adequate.
Okay, thank you. I would like, did it also go out on our social media? Was it posted on our Crescent City Facebook page? Yes, ma'am. So it was posted on our Crescent City Facebook page? Okay, so it did get that also. I know that obviously people have gotten it, we've got people in the audience, and I think you
That's
have
the people I sent an email to.
Okay, but Melanie also, didn't you also have people,
Yes.
inquire this morning, is that correct? Okay. So with that, commissioners, are we comfortable with going forward? Are the commissioners comfortable with going forward? Okay. then if you, Dawn, do you feel as if we need a motion or not to hold this special meeting?
Well, of course, I assume the meeting was called by you, the mayor, correct?
It was called by me, yes, sir.
So actually, I believe that your charter allows that
It does.
either the mayor or multiple commissioners can call the meeting. Once you call it, the meeting is.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, that we're doing everything that we possibly can.
So you called the meeting, and now you guys have, gone into session, and so I think that you're in a special meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You can confirm for the record that you called the meeting, and now if you want to, it might be helpful for you to go ahead and state the purpose for which you called it.
Okay, can we have, before we do that, I'm gonna go into our invocation and our pledge. Okay, is that okay?
I'm gonna do that the way around.
Okay, then I'll go ahead. I've called this special meeting today because, Mr. Flowers reached out to me, yesterday and said that there was just some information he wanted us to be aware of. That, he said that it's not anything that will show up in a background check, but he said, he wants to make sure that the commission is well aware of it, and so nobody is ever caught by a surprise or, anything happens. Also, Dawn is he's gonna need some parameters for which we're looking for, as he goes in and negotiates a contract. We all know that time is of the essence, and we know that Mr. Flowers wants to give proper notice, and, you probably would not give proper notice unless you know for sure that you have a job to go to. And so that's why we call this on such an urgent basis, is because we've got all this in the fire, and they still have to go through negotiations. So with that said, Commissioner Moore, would you lead us in invocation, please? Stand if you're able.
Let's call heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you once again for you woke us up this morning and you started us on our way. We thank you for your grace and for your mercy. We ask that you be with us today as we make decisions, oh God. Help us to make them fair and honest. And Lord Jesus, we will forever praise you and give you the highest praise. All these blessings we do ask in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, I'm gonna open it up. Mr. Flowers, thank you, first and foremost, for reaching out to us and to wanting to share this. And I'm gonna turn it over to you and and you can go ahead and share just, basically what you shared with me. So the commission has an opportunity to hear this and everything's out in the open.
Yes, but first of all, thank y'all again for allowing me to come down, and we had a great time, and brothers had a good ride home with my wife and I talking. The next day went to church and came home. We were watching some of the interviews back and looking at the other candidates. So sometimes you get a good idea and you think, well, one of the questions that popped up, one of the candidates was, we was asked by me, was there anything maybe that would be embarrassing or something, I guess in his history or whatever. And didn't really think about it until later on that evening and the next morning, or this yesterday morning. I said, they might want to know about, something. So I called the mayor and explained it to her, and so give you the story. About 21 years ago, it was 21 years ago. It was a rough time in my life. I was actually going through a divorce. Also, I was a motorcycle police officer, and I had a pretty significant motorcycle wreck where I was out of work for several months on line duty, and couldn't work any extra overtime. And then I came back from that and for a couple of weeks. I had another motorcycle wreck where a lady fell off the side of the road and hit me, and I was out of work again for a couple of months. So during this time, I encountered some financial troubles. And I was behind a house payments and a couple of car payments. And so I brought going forward, and as I got back to work, I was catching everything back up. And I got a phone call one day, it was in late July 2023, where I got a phone call from a banker. He said my wife, although we were going for divorce, her car was on the repo list. I had 2 children at the time, and my daughter was about 12. My oldest son now, who was about 2 years old at the time. They got kind of paid. Whenever I around, there was a car repo, whether out shopping or whatever. So I reached out to a couple of my brothers. I knew it could help me out pretty quick. But I didn't know what I would do. So in a panic situation, I had in my front seat of my car about $3,000 worth of cash that I was using for I was raising money for through a golf tournament. I was raising some money for an organization. And I took right at $900 and then paid my 2 car payments. I'd asked the banker to pay it Friday. He said, this was like Tuesday or Wednesday. He said, so I don't know if they're bringing it to me now, it's going to do anything. So, but anyway, I took the money, paid, and I subsequently replaced the money quickly. And, really honestly, no one knew about it. But my wife at the time, she did another argument for divorce, asked me about it. She expected it, and I told her, yeah, I did, And then about 3 months after that, she went to my supervisor and told him what the situation was, and amongst a couple other things, and he had to report it to the supervisor at the church office, and so they called me and asked me about it, which I told them it was true, and came back. So they asked me to bring all the checkbooks and receipts in, and they did all of it. Everything checked out fine. The money was back in, and they recommended I go to a disciplinary review board. And at that time, I asked my guys to resign. I'm embarrassed. Didn't want to embarrass the shirt anymore, which they allowed me to do. After that, I did, obviously, 6 weeks later, I went to work for the Haskell Police Department and then rebuilt my career through that time. I had issues like this before, never had one like that since. I've been trusted with credit cards. If anything, I'm overprotective of this. This is being in my background. I'm very sensitive to make sure I can dot the I's, cross the T's, and do things of that nature to make sure that that everything will be up and up. I'm previously employer, who I listed as a city council chairman, and that's what I listed him as a reference. So, encourage you to reach out and talk to him if you feel need to, and also, my primary knows about it when I start to this job, just running down. But again, I just thought that we talked about it earlier, I don't want to be surprised if they don't either. And, after watching that other interview, obviously let them know about it. And so that's where we're at today. I hope that we can, hope that you'll have enough place to move forward with me. We are very interested in coming there, excited about the work we get done there. But just lay it in your hands now.
Okay, thank you. And again, thank you for coming forward in your honesty. I know he's gone through also with Colin Basinger, and we've had dealings with Colin. He represented us, I believe, once or twice through city manager search. I was part of that, and it's very extensive background check that they do. There comes that point, and I did ask Mr. Flowers this question, is that I know when it came to me, I had a lawsuit that did not show up. They went through an extensive background check. We had 20 people, it's 30-minute interviews. And it didn't show up. And I submitted to them that, what had happened. I wanted them to know, I wanted the commission to be aware. And he said that it's my understanding that same thing, that you did the same thing with Mr. Basinger, is that correct?
I think another
Yeah.
thing, and when it's time to disclose, to ask for disclosures, and I agree with that.
Okay, thank you. And so with that, Commissioner, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. We all kind of get in a pinch every now and then. I was actually in Belize, for Christmas, took a cruise over to, that area.
Not this Christmas.
No, this was a while back. And my partner's, mom, this was Christmas Eve, we got the phone call, we were in Belize, big party. She got the phone call that her mom had passed on. And so, of course, I was always frugal with my credit cards. And I was always frugal when I took these trips, so I wouldn't spend too much money, quite frankly. And so I only had a credit card for about $1,000, and this is what we got to spend, and this is Christmas kind of thing. And of course, when they said to get back to Vermont, it was going to cost $4,000. The only other credit card that I had, because now we had to, catch boats, we had to do a lot of things to get back to Vermont. And, I had my business credit card for where I worked. And, it was pretty much unlimited. However, the rule was never for personal, you never use this for anything personal. Well, I used it and got everything we needed and got back to Vermont. And of course, the very next day, I went into work and went right to, my manager at the time and said, this is what happened. And it's always good to be honest and forthright, so I appreciate it.
Yes, Commissioner Vega.
I do have a couple of questions from Mr. Flowers, and I apologize, I cannot hear very well over this Zoom. And you do the same thing I do at the end of your sentences, you kind of drop your voice a little bit. And so sometimes the last part of some of your sentences, I did not hear well. But Mayor, could I ask a couple?
Yes.
Okay. So as I understand it, and you can just confirm, you said this is something that happened 21 years ago?
That's correct.
Right, okay, so you would have been approximately 34?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I remember you told us your correct age when we interviewed. So, and the issue was, in order to bring a car payment up to date, you borrowed from funds for a charitable purpose, and you paid that, and then you made that whole. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, they hold quickly, and I was even telling you that, the research officer reached out to them and asked them what they thought about it, they weren't pursuing any criminal charges, they said absolutely not.
Right, well, particularly, I would like to know, after that time, where you said, you resigned from your current law enforcement position, and then you started another law enforcement position, is that correct?
Yeah.
Was that yes?
Yes,
Okay, so did you actually ever lose your law enforcement certification, or was it maintained continuously?
right, so, I did go, I did not lose it, I didn't have to go under probation. I went under probation for 2 years, being, I had to go on probation for 2 years, and then they suspended my instructor at police academy. I couldn't teach for 3 years.
But what happened after the probation?
I was fully reinstated.
Okay, that's what I want to get at, because other professions have similar provisions that I'm familiar with, and so you were fully reinstated. And was it after that time that you served as a police chief?
That's correct, so I was 80, approximately 8 years later, so I went there in February 2004. My probation was over in December of 26, if I remember right. Doing my instructor certification was reinstated in December 2007, and then I became the chief in August of 2012.
Right, and then, it's my understanding, if I recall correctly from, our interviews, after you were chief, that's when you were, drafted to become a city manager, is that correct?
That's right.
Right, because you did a good job as chief. Okay. Thank you, just want to make sure I got everything straight and that, I knew the timeline. Mayor, I have a suggestion.
Yes.
My only suggestion would be, because we don't know exactly what goes into the sheriff's department background check. They, Commissioner Moore may not know about this, they do a background check, and we've asked them exactly what they do, and it wasn't that specific. We don't know exactly what they check, it just comes back good or bad. My suggestion would be that, we ask, Mr. Flowers if he would, let us do a credit check if we have not already done that, just so we and the public know that his finances are in good standing. Just because of this issue that he's brought forward, it's on, now it's in our minutes, it's on YouTube. I am perfectly satisfied. It was a long time ago. He said he's particularly careful now to dot i's and cross t's because of the history. And he served in 2 very responsible managerial positions, apparently in public. So that's a suggestion that I have, that we ask him to allow us to do a credit check, and during the time that the negotiations are going forward.
Okay. This will not, it's my understanding that even with a sheriff's background check, this would still not show up because it was no criminal activity.
Right.
Mr. Holmes, I guess we could, your thoughts on this, please. And also, I guess before you, Mr. Flowers, would you be willing to, I don't want an in-depth, I don't want to know who you owe. I don't want to know any of that personally, just that you're in good standing. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm sorry.
I said, are you comfortable? I said in the background check, not to know who you owe, not to know any of that information, just the fact that you're in good standing. Fine. You're okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
I'll do what I need to help y'all make the right decision.
Okay, thank you. He said he would do anything he needs to do to make sure that we make the right decision.
Okay, and I just think that's for our protection as well as to satisfy, our residents. And as well, could I just tell Mr. Flowers that I appreciate him coming forward? I think I forgot to do that.
Yes.
Mr. Flowers, I forgot to say thank you for bringing this information forward. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes, are you okay with that?
So, first of all, I don't believe that what Mr. Flowers has disclosed is a disqualifying factor. I'm sorry that we had to air it in the format of a special meeting. However, under our law, sunshine requirements, when he disclosed it to the mayor, there was no way for her to be able to get the information to the remaining commissioners without the special meeting. And obviously, it's not something that she or I felt comfortable in, only her knowing. So there was no option but to have this special meeting, which kind of brings extra attention to something that maybe wasn't that big of a blip on the radar screen. So with that having been said, I also appreciate Mr. Flowers' candor in bringing this forward. only way to, avoid it becoming a big deal was not to try to keep it from becoming a big deal. Does that make sense to you? In other words, full disclosure, full transparency. I don't think I assumed that any commissioner would have major problems with something of this nature that happened 21 years ago. You weren't charged, you weren't convicted. Without a conviction or a charge, there's nothing that would impair your ability to be bonded. And your law enforcement credentials were not revoked, so, and you held positions in law enforcement and city government afterwards. So, from my perspective, it is not a disqualifying factor, but I'm glad everyone now knows the same thing that everybody else knows on the commission. With regard to the credit check, my only question is, first of all, it's my understanding that time is of the essence. You're wanting to move forward with negotiating a contract. The credit check doesn't take a long time to obtain. With Mr. Flowers signing off on it, it would normally be signed off on by him. But my question is, if we're going to move forward with the negotiations, are you going to put a threshold on there? I mean, credit check is going to give you a score at some point. It may reveal negative comments such as a prior bankruptcy or a judgment or something like that. But the same criteria that a bank might use for deciding whether to loan you a lot of money is not necessarily the same criteria that someone else might use in deciding whether or not you're responsible with money. So if you're going to do a credit check and you're going to move forward with the process, what standard are you going to be setting for whether or not he passes or fails the credit check?
I understand that. I do understand that, and that's something that the commission's gonna have to determine. I understand Commissioner DeVito also with that. I mean, maybe there's some as Sheila goes through with the background check. To give comfort to everyone, of course, we have such a check and balance here, I believe, with in our finance department, that everything requires 2 signatures. So he's gonna be in a probationary period anyway. I don't know that we even gave signing authority to Charles initially. I'm not sure that we did initially. That might be something too, that we not, until we reach that 6-month period, we not have signing authority. Now, that places a burden on us, the commission. As we all know, because now it requires 2 of our signatures. And my only concern too is when we get into that, because with a credit check, that now, who would do that? So it would be Sheila or HR, and making sure that no personal information is given. So I don't know. I don't know if we're kind of in uncharted waters there that we should probably stay away from, just for protection. Now, if it's something that. Oh no, do you have any other solutions for us, Don? Mr. Holmes?
No, and the other question I have, which is a problem, not a solution, is I'll have to look and see whether or not that becomes public record.
That's what I'm concerned about, is because then his credit is, open to the public.
Well, it doesn't Sheila have to,
Just do a background check.
on his credit before he can sign checks. So while we're going through this process of getting the contract together and all of that, can she at the same time be looking at that so that hopefully it all kind of comes together at the end to say he's clear, correct? Can we kind of drag
Yes,
that?
that was my thought. This should be simultaneous. And I guess what I'm getting at is, certainly Mr. Flowers appears to be in good standing with his current position. He held a law enforcement position. My feeling was, for our protection and just for the knowledge of the public, it would be helpful to know the kind of thing, if you're a landlord, and I'm not a landlord, and I have not rented an apartment in decades, But I think when you apply to rent an apartment, they do the kind of credit check that says, are you current on your bills? And that was, to me, to bring it kind of up to date. So
Well, let me
I don't
offer
know what's been-
this. Mr. Flowers, are you still there?
And he probably knows more than
Do you have a local banker there that you work with, that you're a counselor with? Okay. What if you do, that you would be comfortable reaching out just to have just a note to us that you're in good standing?
And I would say on this that, we own a very, very, very nice home, and owned it for 10 years, and it's about $300,000 home. We owe this $100,000 on it, and I'm putting all this out there. I have one car. We don't spend a lot of money. We own cars and stuff, but it's almost paid for. So, and again, I would know the concern, and I know the concern, but I know the scrutiny I put on myself about being careful about doing anything that's, when a few questions or anybody else questions, very, I've used to raise thousands of dollars for places, I don't even do that anymore, which is kind of sad, but I did that. But, I just don't, try to no scrutiny about it, questions. But I would be glad to reach out to, I can reach out to a bank, I can reach out, I'm going to get my city attorney, my city auditor, last year.
Okay. I mean, I hate for us to do that, but if it's something that, Commissioner, how would you feel about?
To me, I don't see that reaching out to someone's banker really provides that overall financial view. We had a problem with someone who left earlier this year who was behind on their credit card debt, and they were being sued in court for it. And that's more kind of credit check. I thought Commissioner Burton summed it up pretty well, which is, could we see what kind of credit check can be done either by the sheriff or Sheila? And it could be discussed with Mr. Holmes as to whether it is or isn't public record. And I think that would go into it and allow Mr. Holmes to go ahead and do the basic negotiation and maybe communicate, Mr. Holmes could communicate with Sheila or the sheriff and just see what is available to us. And that can be
Well, let
reported.
them go forward with their
Yeah.
checks,
Let them go forward with the background check. I'm really not, the whole credit report and all of that is something I'm uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
I understand your rationale with that, and there, by the grace of God, all of us, I can recall, and I disclosed that too, at a time in my life when things were, pretty bleak. We've probably all been in that situation, especially as young adults with young families, and have thankfully risen above that. And, so I really, to me, I'm just more concerned that becomes public record and how can, and I don't want anything that somebody's gonna come back and say, that's gonna come back on him. And unfortunately, we do have those, as we know, with social media, that just want to, crucify somebody in the public, and that's not what we're looking to do, and I don't want to give anybody that ammunition to do so. So that's just my concern, but Dawn, I'm gonna leave that up to you, and commissioners, if you're okay with us allowing Sheila to go ahead and go through not the credit check, but the background checks.
Yeah.
A background check I'm fine with, that's appropriate.
Right.
I really have some real questions about the credit check for a lot of reasons. Again, as I indicated earlier, credit checks mean a lot of things. You can cover a lot of territory under the label credit check. Are you looking at his FICO score? Are you looking for past late pays on mortgages, on car payment, on whatever? And all of that information, you haven't asked for that for anybody else. None of your other applicants have been asked to submit that. So where's the pass-fail grade on that kind of a thing? And then secondly, quite frankly, as I'm sitting here, and I'm gonna tell you that I'm a HR lawyer, that I don't ever remember in all of the searches we did at City of Palatka for finance directors and city managers ever asking for a credit check. And then I am concerned about once we have it being public record, so, I don't know, my briefcase is in my computer case is in my car, and I've got my sunshine manual in it, and it may have something in it about, the credit check public record aspect. I can probably figure that out pretty quickly, but I'll just leave it at, I've got some discomfort with a credit check on this gentleman, as I would for any other applicant. I don't know him from Adam's house, cat. But I just,
So
I'm
basically,
sitting here right now, my gut is, I've got some discomfort.
Well, and we rely on you for your legal advice.
so basically you'd say, let's go ahead with background check. I would go ahead with background check, get the contract negotiations going. And we need to move forward and thank Mr. Flowers for being upfront and, honest with us. 21 years ago is 21 years ago.
Yeah.
And we should move forward.
I'm sorry, can I get a motion, or do you wanna do that in a motion? Does somebody wanna do a motion? I think we need to do this in a motion.
I move that we go ahead with the planned background check for candidate Dwayne Flowers and the contract negotiations.
Okay,
I'll second that.
so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Should we take public comment, if any?
I'm not inclined to, but Dawn, I guess we should ask for public comment. If that's what the commission wants, do we have somebody that wants to speak?
Sure.
Would you like to speak? Mr. Watson, do you have something to say?
I think
Please come forward and state your name and your address, if you will.
Did he volunteer?
Carol Watson, 44 North Lake Street. I think I'm good with the conclusion that you guys have come to in terms of approach. That's the world I work in on a daily basis, and I can clearly see you begin to open up a whole basket of worms, and I think as Don said, you're establishing a precedent with one candidate that wasn't applied to the others. Also, the other side of pulling credit is that, there's what's called a hard pull and a soft pull.
Exactly.
Hard pull could damage him in terms of his actually credit scores, especially if he's looking to do other things, and soft pull doesn't, but be that as it may, just establishing that standard. I mean, if you feel you really need to do something, which you may not need to do, is have him make a statement representation. There's nothing there, no issues there, but be that as it may, I think the conclusion you guys have come to is, in my view, professionally satisfactory and in line with the standards that have been applied to all other candidates, both here and Don's experience throughout Palatka government.
Thank you. Do you have any other comments?
I didn't get a chance to say anything, but Mr. Flowers, I do appreciate you coming forward and letting us know about this. I think that is shows character and shows how much you really want this job, which I feel comfortable with. And I think that, like everyone else said, 21 years ago is 21 years ago, and we've all had parts of our lives that we wish would go away, and exes and, divorce, ex-wives, so, not me. So I think that I look forward to seeing you here, so.
I just have one thing to say. It would be helpful, I think, if the commission knew more about these checks when we got into the process. I tried to find out from the sheriff, when they say background check, it is just not clear to me what that means.
Okay, we're gonna go over this. How many times am I gonna go over this?
No, I don't.
They don't give us so what they do is it's only if they find something, but they don't give us anything
Don't give you a report.
They don't give us a report.
I understand that, but what we have no idea about is what is being checked, what is the extent of it, and, we really don't know. So that means that our information is just a little bit incomplete, and we did have an employee.
You know, you might not wanna know everything about everybody, because then you just won't have anybody hired.
No,
Okay, that's my take.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't know what aspects of someone's life they check. I know when we use a consultant, it is a much more extensive background check. And I've been hired by employers who did require that I sign off on a credit check. So I'm just saying, there, as Mr. Holmes has said, there are many kinds of checks. We don't know what goes into it. So
Well-
that would be, in future, going forward, that would be very helpful.
And I will say this again, and Dawn said this the other day, as far as references, there are things that Colin, that his people didn't pick up on. I mean, I had to disclose to him, Mr. Flowers, he disclosed to Colin also, and so with the thoroughness of his background check and talking to references and doing that, we can all do that. Quite honestly, you can Google somebody and a lot of things are gonna come up, so you can do that. From a criminal standpoint, I think, from the sheriff's office, and we can get from Tammy, more detail, but they do they look to see if there's any criminal activity, and that's what they're gonna bring to us, our criminal activity. Are they gonna tell us, personal situations that these people have been in? They're not gonna, they don't have that information. All they know is there any criminal activity? Is he on a wanted list? Has he done something? Has there been charges? Has he been arrested?
Is he on the run, coming up the Crescent?
So I think that,
I think this is getting into kind of ridiculous territory. I know it's a criminal, I'm sure they check criminal records. We don't even know the extent of it. Is it just Florida? Is it national? But anyway, to me, we need to know more about what the sheriff's checks encompass.
okay, we'll make sure that Sheila brings that Sheila gets that from the sheriff's office and brings that to us. Is that okay?
Sure, that's very helpful. So we know what we don't know. Anyway, I'm ready to vote.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
No.
And I too, and I shared that with him yesterday when he brought this to my attention, having family in the corporate world, that is the one thing, is, you might get in trouble for something you've done, but you're gonna get in a lot more trouble when you lie about it, and you're not honest, and they're looking for that more so than anything, and just knowing that when he was asked, that meant a lot to me, and gave me the comfort. So I appreciate that. I'm sorry you had to go through this. As I said, you're the one to walk through the fire. So thank you for doing this on our behalf. And with that, if I can get a roll call, if there's no other comments.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. So approved, we'll send that to Sheila. Unfortunately, Sheila is out today, but we'll have her get started on doing all those backgrounds, and getting with the sheriff's office to do that.
And I just want to thank you, Mr. Flowers. I appreciate you coming forward. And I appreciate, I'm pretty sure we're going to be working with you soon, so I'm looking forward to that. Thanks.
Looking forward to it. And with that, Dawn, you're still there, and I know you've got a meeting that you're gonna have to get to, but, you're gonna need some parameters from us.
I am, I need some parameters, I can sketch out a contract, I'm gonna look at Mr. Russ, of course, I've got a contract with the city of Pulaski, but I'm gonna look at the last contract you did with, Mr. Rudd. I know that the interim was with, Michael, and so I'm sure, or I would assume that it wasn't as comprehensive as the contract you had with, Mr. Rudd. But if Melanie can send me, even if she's not certainly on your computer, if she can send me a copy of the Rudd contract, I can look at the format that you use there, and then sketch out something. But it would help me, and I need to know, a salaries range that I'm free to work within. I need to know if there are any limitations on geographical area where he resides. I need to know if there's anything special regarding time off, days off. I'm assuming as city manager, it's not an 8 to 5 job, so most of the time, well, I shouldn't assume, but it's normally not counted as an 8 to 5 job. So there are times that he's gonna be on, he's gonna be working past 5 o'clock. Are you gonna compensate for that with comp time or, basically, does that just come with the territory? I need to know, basically, because it's your contract, not mine, I can drag a lot of contracts. But Mr. Flowers is going to decide from his perspective whether they're acceptable. And I'd like to have some general guidelines from you as to where I go with it. I'm told that there's a car allowance normally that's provided for in, I don't know, you provide a cell phone. So will there be a cell phone and a laptop provided? Those kinds of things, just some generic stuff.
Okay, I do know there is a cell phone and a laptop that is provided. I do know also there was a car allowance that was provided, previously. And we'll make sure that we get that contract to you. Now, as far as, the distance, I don't know, Mr. Flowers is still there. I mean, do we want to ask him if he's had an opportunity to look around the area yet? I know they were,
The conversation was, depending on what was available.
yeah, we have to, I do want to keep in mind too that he has a 13-year-old who is a golfer and having had a golfer and know how important those golf scholarships are, that they are looking at something for that too, so that he has that opportunity to carry that forward as he goes into high school. I think that's something that's one of his goals. Mr. Flowers, do you want to, is Commissioner be okay with asking Mr. Flowers? Yes, Commissioner, yeah.
Well, first of all, I believe the job description, which Sheila should be able to get to Mr. Holmes, didn't that have the salary range? Because
It did.
Okay, and Sheila,
She reached out to everyone
and
that
they
they were
said they were willing to work within the salary range.
within salary range.
So I would think that would be it, right?
And that would be
Well, tell me
something.
what it is then, please.
And I didn't pull it, I meant to pull it, I apologize, Mr. Holmes, what that salary range is, but I'll make sure that you get that salary range when that contract is sent to you, and we'll have that sent to you as soon as possible, because again, with all of this, I know Mr. Flowers, he needs to give notice, and,
It's 94 to 110.
was like,
The range is 94,600 to 110,000.
and that was our advertised?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for.
Well, it just seems to me we ought to, whoever has it should forward to Mr.
Well, I'll
Holmes.
have Sheila, it's proper that Sheila does it and not one of us, so I'll have Sheila do send the ad to him, and if she's not there, I'll have Melanie.
And I'll just mention too, in the position, we did not mention, since we provide a competitive salary and benefits, we don't list the actual benefits, so that was one of my questions.
I believe, health insurance, of course, it's gonna be health insurance, it's gonna be your retirement, and then, of course, what we've got to determine at this point is, I know before we've done, I think, 30 miles, 30 minutes, I don't know, but Mr. Flowers, have you and your family had an opportunity to talk about, relocation?
Yeah, sure, so, we looked around several places, we live there in town, Crescent City, but, so, my thing would be, spread my radius and range. Understand that, I remember from, I don't know if it was a meeting I watched or the other interviews, that concerned about, being there, on the timely fashion and especially during, natural disasters. That's me, I've done that my whole career. you don't go home or you come and hang down, you have those kind of things, we're going to be there, regardless, and then, as you get that concern away, we just want to find the best opportunity for school, and come to find out, I have a first cousin and a second cousin that live, we're looking at the, Plum Close, maybe, I have a first and second cousin that live over there, so we reached out to them on Sunday as well. So, I don't know that's where we're going to end up, and you gotta find a house, that you like, and then, all that as well, but, so we're open to everything, I just don't, when asked, I would be just, handcuffed at this point. And I would also be glad to send, Mr. Scott, kind of my wish list, or I can send it to, Sheila, tell her kind of what I'm looking for.
And just direct me if you don't mind, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just send it to me if you don't mind.
We'll give you Mr. Holmes, I'll provide with you Mr. Holmes's, email.
Yep. Help y'all.
Okay.
So I apologize, but I do have to leave.
Yeah.
Mayor, you know that I've got some commitments this
I
afternoon.
know. Thank you so much and on such short notice, and thank you for your guidance as always. We greatly appreciate it. I guess we can talk a little bit more about the distance and then we'll let you know. Is that good?
Okay, great. Thanks very much. I apologize for having to leave early, but
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Uh,
Thank you for your.
It's okay, he's got it.
Yeah.
But before, well, he's got to leave, and I'm sorry, Mr. Flowers, that I have to turn away from you when I talk to the rest of the commission. Or maybe I don't, or I don't even think he can see me. But anyway, one question I would like to ask our attorney is, when we have the meeting to approve the contract, how much notice does he recommend that we give for that meeting? If we could, I can ask him.
Don, are you still there?
Yeah.
So,
2 days.
3 days has been universal, well, I shouldn't say anything universal when it comes to notice, but 3 days has been pretty much, blessed by the AG as to, as to notice. I would want on a special meeting, my preference would be 3 days.
Okay,
So next Tuesday, do you think we could, by next Tuesday, the 21st, do you think that would be, if we were to go ahead and notice it today for the 21st, do you think by then you could have worked out the details?
I don't know how hard to get along with Mr. Flowers is.
You seem so.
I'm easy to get along with, but I don't know about him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Flowers, are you available? Commissioners, are you available on the 21st?
I did read my calendar, I may have a doctor's appointment that day, and it's gonna be in somewhere in Volusia County. It might be in Fort Orange. I don't. I mean,
So can we go ahead and do this? Commissioners? Can we go ahead and set the 21st and then time certain? You can, when you get home and look at your calendar, you can let Melanie know. And so,
I mean, I
unless we
honestly,
do it early, if I do the 22nd, I have to do it early.
Okay, so what's your right to
I would want to do it by about 10 o'clock.
Just our doctor's appointment.
What day are you talking about
The
now?
22nd, which is a Wednesday.
I have no idea.
So I'm good on the 22nd most times. The 21st is not a great day for me.
Okay,
Or the 20th is a holiday.
the 20th is a holiday, so do we want to go ahead and do it for the 22nd
That's fine.
at 10 a.m.? Are you
And I'll
available?
leave if I could. Thank you all.
Thanks, bye.
Mayor, honestly, I've got 2 doctor's appointments next week. I'm not sure I don't know whether there's 2 appointments. I don't know whether they're Tuesday and Wednesday. I could not tell you which days they're on. If we could just not set a time.
That's what I suggested, we not set a time, so on the 22nd, Mr. Flowers, how is your calendar on the 22nd?
This other day, I have a staff meeting with my mayor on Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Okay, well, this will be early, because I can't be here in the afternoon, so, I do know that from my calendar. So it would be probably, we're looking at 10 as long as Commissioner DeVito and nobody else has any type of a, conflict. Is that good? But we'll set that time, but we need to go ahead and at least establish a date.
Did Mr. Flowers say yes?
Would you, the morning of the 22nd be okay? Okay, okay. That would be good, and then with whatever we do, then you can make your announcement that afternoon at your staff meeting.
So,
Okay. Okay, if everybody's good with the 22nd. Again, Mr. Flowers, thank you. Thank you very much,
Yes, thank you.
and we look forward to you leading the city, into the future.
There's a leaving.
Leading, okay?
Thank you very much.
thank y'all for y'all support, I really appreciate it.
Do you have something else? Hold on, wait a
No,
second.
I'm just saying, I don't know whether for him to see us, do I look at the screen or do I look
Just
at?
why don't you go stand right here so he can see you?
I'm just gonna wave, because I keep looking at the screen and I realize that's.
If he's watching it, he's probably watching it
Okay.
on the, he's
You
probably
can
watching
see,
it.
okay, well, see, I can't see that at all.
It's okay.
Okay, it sounds like he's
Thank you.
there he is.
But you're there.
Thank you very much.
So Commissioner Vito is here, she is wearing a teal sweater, and, what color would you call
I
that?
would call it,
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Okay, anyway,
He heard me when
She's-
I talked.
she's present, she is present, we all are here, and again, thank you very much, we know you've got your FEMA meeting waiting for us, and we appreciate you, you stepping out there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you want to close that meeting, and then we'll continue, but I think we're good.
Yeah, he's off of it. Someone, just turn it on. Yeah. Well, did you, are you adjourned?
No, we're not adjourned yet, we still have to, for Dawn, with what we're looking for, I think we should probably discuss this as far as, the distance. I mean, in a perfect world, we would want everybody to live here in Crescent City. That's unfortunately for the last 4 that have not been possible. Well, for the last 3, Mr. Billhart has been able to secure a temporary place, but that was very difficult in itself. I mean, we struggled with that. And that was just one person. Yes, Commissioner Vito.
Yeah, I think, didn't, the contract for Mr. Rudd say approximately 30 miles?
I believe it did.
So my thought is that we should just go with the contract from Mr. Rudd, and if there's any adjustments that need to be made, I can't imagine that he would need more than 40 miles to find a place for that school district, because I don't know what high school is in Blackman that has the golf program. But, okay, but where, I don't know where that's located or where you have to live to be in that district.
You have to live in San Mateo, you'd have to be over the Dunstry Bridge.
Well, and not necessarily, it depends
But you can
on,
still go.
it depends on the
Private work.
school, but you have to see, you know, I mean, I moved a 15-year-old and it was a nightmare. And so, you know, you have to take that into consideration. So he's gonna have to look at, and it's not whether or not it's a good school, I think more than importantly, it's whether or not it offers that golf opportunities. We've got some great schools here. We're surrounded by really good schools with dedicated staff, but it's who offers that opportunity from when we're in high school to look at for a scholarship, because those are few and far between, and who's gonna get that recognition.
And 30 miles, are we saying 30 miles is the birth miles? Is that what include Blackbird? I really think of that. I don't know. In my mind, that's kind of too far away. If they were.
Well, Flagler Beach would definitely be, too far away. Our police chief lives in Palm Coast.
I think 40 miles gets you to Palm Coast proper.
Yeah.
40 miles actually gets you to North DeLand.
Yeah.
It wouldn't get you to Victoria Park, which is really far.
Yeah, which is really far, yeah. But if it comes before that, I mean, we as a commission have to weigh out, I believe we have got a great candidate. And I am honestly, just based on what I've seen, I'm excited about it. So we have to weigh out Do we have to if we're gonna have to make those concessions? I don't know if he even knows at this point because, I don't believe they're coming down until after the school year. He probably will come down first.
Well, the thing is when he comes down, he's gonna be renting for a while until he figures out. And I think they're very sincere when they say they would like to live in Crescent City. But it'll be 6 months before he's going, at least before he lives in Crescent City, because it takes, it takes a minute to find a house.
Yeah, the availability, in the house itself is just not,
Yes.
You know,
not, there's 4 houses for sale.
and quite honestly, happy wife, happy life.
Yes.
And we all know that, even with our last, I don't know if he's still here or not, but, it was isolated. She was a little isolated, and so we just have to be aware of that, and,
But Mrs. Flowers lives in rural Georgia,
Yeah.
fortunately.
Exactly, so she's.
We're not from Brazil, and
So
she's not from Orlando.
So she's already very familiar with living in a rural community, and the wonderful thing is no matter where we sit 45 minutes, even with traffic from wherever we have to be. I had to be in Ormond Beach at that hospital yesterday, and I was there in 45 minutes, not even 45 minutes. So, and I did the speed limit because there was a truck there in front of me. So with that, so if we're all good with that, as far as we given Dawn that directive, yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so what is the directive for John to work off the contract from Mr. Rudd? Or
That was my understanding, we were gonna, and if we had to make some concessions, he's gonna have to bring it back to us, but for us to be open to that.
Sure. I think that works.
Is that good? I don't know that we need a motion for that, unless somebody wants to make a motion.
Well, just so we have it,
Just go ahead.
no misunderstanding, so I move that, for the purposes of Attorney Holmes to do the negotiation, we provide him, the parameters are with the contract for Mr. Rudd, to work from, and as well that, Sheila provide him a copy of the advertised job description.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any further discussions? Mr. Burton, you look a little perplexed. You good? You good?
I'm never perplexed.
Okay. Well, that just has that.
On my mind is something.
Okay. With that, Melanie, if you'll just go ahead and do a roll call for us, please, if we have no further discussion.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner DeVito,
Aye.
Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Burton,
Aye.
Mayor Myers.
Aye. Okay, so approved, and we're all of the understanding that we will hold a meeting sometime, within the earlier hours on the 22nd. Commissioner DeVito, you'll get with Melanie and provide her with your time frame. Anybody else know that they have a conflict on the 22nd? We'll have to check with Don's calendar as well, just to make sure that he's able to do that, that he's able to, okay? That,
Sorry, we're talking about profiles.
we're gonna allow Dawn to work that out. I don't think that's a pro flies because, I don't know, we'll let Dawn work that out. That's part of,
the same office.
that's why he's doing that. And then we can make that, we can discuss it when he brings it back to us. With that, if everybody's good, is there anything else? We good?
Are you going to the lunch or dinner on Thursday from Northeast Florida?
I am not.
Oh.
I will not be there, Betsy knows I will not be there, but I believe that we are, the new president is being sworn in. I'm not gonna be sworn in at that one, it's my husband's birthday weekend, so we always go to Tallahassee. So we'll be leaving Thursday morning, she knew that several months ago, it's kind of a standing weekend. But fortunately, for my weekend, we always travel, they're doing it the following week, and so I do get to be part of Soul Food. And they're having a parade for my birthday. So you tell them that, thank you for doing that for my birthday, so the Soul Food Parade is going to be on the 22nd, and I am gonna be able to be there, but I will not be here Thursday night. Rachel, I'm sorry you couldn't enjoy, George Washington's birthday the way I do.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, if we have a proper motion and a second, if there's no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye. And So we are so adjourned, and Melanie, also thank you for everything you're doing. You,
You're doing
like I
great.
said, thrown in the fire, and you have done an outstanding job with figuring it all out as best you can. We're gonna have some hiccups, and we're all gonna allow you grace. Okay?
Just me giving you a thumbs up, by the way, sorry, I can't do it, but that's a thumbs up, good job.
Okay. Thank you all for coming today.
Oh, anytime. That was fun.